Oh, oh my god. Oh, I go through seltzers like an alcoholic mother goes through wine. I'll have you know, I saved that seltzer for about a week without drinking it in order to make that one joke. Was it worth it? No. Is it satisfying? Oh, 100%. Whew. Anyways, it's your favorite basement-dwelling manga connoisseur with the upload consistency the same as your ability to find a job. Nah, but in all seriousness, here are your however manga manhwa for you that I've compiled over my extensive break. Now sure, the title may make the average enjoyer assume that you will find quality content here, but let me assure you, just for you, I've compiled only the hottest garbage the manga, manhwa, I don't even know anymore, world has to offer. Maybe you've seen these, maybe you haven't, but regardless, I hope you gained something from the hundreds of hours I've spent reading these, and if not, make sure to write a very sternly written comment about something that you hate about the video. Maybe I'll read it over the next hiatus. First one up is Isekai Walking. Now, you know, looking back on these, a lot of these might be Isekai manga. Well, either way, I'll either get burned at the stake or get praised about the sheer amount of recycled plot lines I'm about to talk about. Anyways, this one I'd say is pretty standard in its idea. Like, the main character gets summoned to another world, ends up with a quote-unquote useless skill, and was then thrown out by the king. The thing that I've really particularly found that I liked about this one was the leveling method of the main character. Like, as they walked around, they could gain levels, and therefore they grow by exploring, which kind of sets up the story for a good, slice of life-esque manga. That also pretty decent character development, in my opinion. Plus, I enjoy it when manga introduces new monsters that haven't been used, you know, other than goblins, kobolds, trolls, etc., and they're so overused at this point, is what I say, but here I am talking about one of the most overused genres currently. And next we have A Tale of a Scribe Who Retires to the Countryside. Now, this one is very different from the rest of the series on the list. It's a very slow progress story, but I'd honestly say that it's a very nice read. It only gets better, and the character grows both in power and dynamic. Also, he just gets his girl pulling game on point. I don't know what to say. So I won't even go into detail about this one. I'd say definitely put this one on your list of possible reads. Now, the next one we have is I Became the Male Lead's Adopted Daughter. Now, let me preface this. I'm a sucker for a good laugh and a heartwarming story. Now, the story has everything. It got drama and strong-willed characters, and I can't help but chuckle at the character interactions every time the main character starts thirsting over the male knights. And if you love a good mix of satisfying ass-kicking and comedy interactions, I definitely recommend this. Now, next is my daughter's S-rank adventurers have a severe obsession with their father. It is, it has good content. Yeah. Following that is Another World Survival of Trading Company Man. Now, I like reading stories that are recycled garbage that allow me to degenerate down to my primal monk-y state, and I'm sure you can relate, but I also enjoy out-of-the-box thinking when approaching stories that have been redone hundreds of times before, and this gem takes a little more of an elaborate approach to the isekai idea by focusing on the lack of communication between characters. Not for the lack of trying, but rather due to the actual language barrier that doesn't change, so we're left with the thoughts of the main character and minimal understanding of outside characters. And I really enjoy this story. Even if it's silly at times, it's nonetheless enjoyable, and I feel the idea of not being able to communicate properly lets us relate more to the main character than we would originally be able to in such a situation. After that is I Left the A-Rank Party and Headed for the Depths of the Labyrinth with My Former Students, which is an enjoyable read, albeit if you look past the insufferable antagonist. When looking past that, the story's very enjoyable. If you don't mind harems, the world building and the dungeon systems are very interesting, something that I haven't seen been done in a while. And also, just as a side note, I really enjoy reading the comments of these types of manga, because it's stuff like this. I hope the MC will bone the rest of the party the moment them bitches throw themselves at him. I can't make this stuff up, it's just the jokes really make themselves. Next up is Big Life. Now, the story is a really nice read. Personally, I couldn't help but to binge it all day when I found it. Probably spent a solid 5 to 6 hours just reading and scrolling mindlessly. It's a really good story of success and overcoming hardship, although I would say that it's definitely a bit wishy-washy and a bit in its pacing at times. However, looking past that, it's a really nice and enjoyable read. Okay, next we have is The Fish I Missed Was Too Big, but I Caught Another Fish That Was Too Big. Now, you may recall a while back I stated that I disliked female leads, but in all honesty, I can't help but to read these romance stories. Not only is the art really nice with comedies on point, and I just love the dynamic of the stupidly powerful female that is too brutish to find herself a man. It's just absurdly funny to me, so yeah, if you want to read it, if you don't, you don't. I really don't care. Now, okay, imagine a super jacked 7'8" roided up monster of a human being. That's the epitome of this main character in I Picked Up a Hammer to Save the World. He's literally a walking oxymoron. After that is L.A.G, which frankly I'm surprised I haven't heard about this much at all. It's such an interesting story. If I had to describe it in any way, it would be something akin to the Maze Runner mixed with Saw and ReZero. hero. A weird combination, I know, but it oddly fits. Regardless, the story has like no affection for anyone. I like its approach to the idea of the death and survival and its realistic touch, if you will, on that part, and it's not afraid to kill off characters, and it just makes the story so much more enjoyable to read that way. After that, we have a court magician who was focused on supportive magic because his allies were too weak. Aims to become the strongest after being banished. Jesus, these titles really don't help me making these videos. Now, this may initially seem like a generic story about a person getting kicked out of the hero's party just to later become the hero, and to a certain extent it is, but this story really sets itself apart in the dynamic between the main character and his partners. The like emotional interactions and the realism of these interactions between characters really sets the story apart. It feels like these characters are actually people, and you know, they worry about each other, and it's not just a wishy-washy environment. Everybody has feelings, everyone needs to process them, they rely on each other, and it's a genuine growth between the characters. After that, we have another reincarnation story. If you couldn't predict that, then count me impressed. Be the actor. Now, I wasn't the biggest proponent of acting manhwa before reading this, but after I read the story, I really couldn't help but want to read even more. I've probably spent a good few days searching for stories that resembled this one after I got caught up, so give it a try. Following is Zeikin De Katta Hon, a slice of light-hearted manga about passionate librarians. I really can't tell you enough about this one. It's always a fun read, plus gives some interesting insights into the inner workings of a public library. It's the type of thing I'd recommend to anyone who just wants to chill out and laugh a bit. Now, the next story is something that I hold very dear to my heart. It's called The Horizon, also created by the same person who made The Boxer, which is an equally amazing story. Like, I remember I binged that in one day. It's a really, really nice story that, if you haven't read it, I'd definitely say check it out. It's a really different idea of... not even idea. It's a really different story. Now, the best I can describe the story is like a psychological fest that deals with the idea of mortality and the meaning of life, and each chapter had me on edge to the point that I couldn't help but want to cry. Like, if you just pick one thing from here to read, I definitely say read this. It's really short, it's like 22 chapters, and it's completed, but it's something that I feel like anybody should read at least once. And the next one is Reincarnated as the Mastermind of the story. Now, I really like this one so far, and although it only has a few chapters, it definitely has really good potential, and frankly, I can't wait to see where it goes. If it gets handled properly, we might even be able to see a very interesting story unfold with the different perspectives provided. Though frankly, we can only hope, since the main trope of this one is based on the fact that the main character is reincarnated as someone who's destined to be a villain. Although not too original, like the fact that we have so little information about this world and the actual scenario behind the game's villain kind of provides for many different outlets for the story to go. Wow, would you look at that? You made it towards the end of the video. I'm proud of you. Here you go, have a cookie or something, I don't know. Anyways, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I know I always talk shit and all that stuff, but getting serious, just for once, I am very thankful for everybody that's watching this video, and if you're coming back after a very long time, then thank you, I appreciate that. I do want to make videos in the future, and I hope that you guys will stick around, and hopefully I'm not going to be as busy as I have been for this past year or so, so I'm going to attempt to make more videos. I'm going to attempt to upload more consistently, though as always, that's not a promise. And yeah, I appreciate everybody, so thank you. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.